Breaking news, Greece met the deadline. They just sent the proposal to their creditors. Now, here are just some of the details as they come in. They're going to implement pension reform. In fact, they say they will start in October. They promise a surplus this year, 1%, 2%, 2016. That will happen because the value-added tax for restaurants catering will skyrocket to 23%. The value-added tax for hotels will skyrocket to 13%. And they want to eliminate the value-added tax breaks for islands by the end of next year. But is this too little, too late? I'm Charles Payne, and you're watching Making Money. Joining us tonight for this breaking news, Fox Business's very own Lou Dobbs, host of Lou Dobbs Tonight, Joe Theismann, NFL legend and small business owner, and Eric Guster, managing attorney at Guster Law Firm. All right, guys, interestingly on this whole thing, we've talked about all the different things that Greece has promised to do before. We've discussed over and over again what is austerity, because ultimately the Greeks, you live too high, you spend more money than you make, and this is their solution so far, taxing their way to prosperity, Lou.
It's a novel concept. We all know it won't work, but nothing else has either.
But they never tried true austerity, I don't think.
Well, you may not think so, but I think the Greeks have got a strong feeling that they've gone through some considerable austerity. It's been a very tough 5 years. The bad news is that tourists in Greece now will be paying most of the VAT. They're actually reducing VAT on the folks who are trying to get through in other businesses, and I think that's smart. But the reality, as you say, in this situation is they've got to get more money. This paves the way for the International Monetary Fund and others to bring in more money. Germany, I think it's almost impossible that Angela Merkel will be able to get much more money out of her folks. And so it's going to be the IMF and perhaps the World Bank stepping up here.
So, in other words, you believe that this is enough for some agency, not the troika, if you will, but just the IMF alone, you think, could do this?
I know the IMF could do it alone. The question is obviously whether they will.
They owe $300 billion.
$350 billion. That's a lot of money. And the Greeks know that one thing, the old saying, if you owe the bank 1,000, the bank owns you. If you owe the bank about $1 billion, you own the bank. And that's what the Greeks are going through.
The old J. Paul Getty is, if you owe them $100, but if you owe them $100 million, then you're in control. And certainly $350 billion. But here's the thing, Joe.
He was another one.
Yeah. Here's the thing, though, Joe. I'm not sure. I'm not sure I share the enthusiasm that Lou has that somehow Greece is going to be bailed out. We need more details on this, but I think that the world, particularly Angela Merkel, was looking for true reforms. I know it's been tough, but guess what? They had a hell of a run. Anyone over the last 30 years go on vacation in Greece and not come back and say, those people know how to live? We should live like them? Of course. Everyone looked at them as like, you're chilling out on the beach all day. You're having drinks. You're having great food. But guess what? The tab has come due.
But if we lived like them, we'd be right where they are. That's the problem. Eventually, it was going to run out. I sort of agree with Lou. I think the IMF is in a position where they will probably look at this as some type of a move forward and say, we can try and do something now. And remember, this is sort of laying the groundwork for what else is happening in Europe. You have Portugal, you have Spain, you have Italy. Right. I think the world markets are looking at this and saying, okay, does this stand a chance? Is there an opportunity here to be able to help?
But here's the problem,
we'll try and do something with it.
They owe more money to the ECB than the IMF. They owe more money to the emergency fund than the IMF.
Well,
you're
not really expecting anybody to pay that off, are you?
No, but here's the thing. We talked about the contagion part. How much of a haircut do you offer them before you really do entice Italy or France or Spain and say, heck, if you're going to forgive 30, 40% of their debt, put me in too.
That's why you're setting up. That's why it sets up to be a domino effect that can be a real problem and an issue going forward in the economic markets. Because let's face it, the market over the last month or so, maybe 3 weeks, has really kept a focus on Greece. What's happening in Greece? It affects us tremendously. We see it in the markets the way they went. Now, all of a sudden, is this going to be enough to say to the market tiers, okay, this is a move in the right direction? I guess that's the biggest question I have. Is it really a move in the right direction, or are we just treading water here?
I think there are two things we ought to stipulate. One, the $350 billion is not going to be paid back. It's just too much. It is too big a nut for the Greeks.
Right.
And secondly, what is being attempted here is a fig leaf for the European Central Bank, for the European Union, and the International Monetary Fund. Good faith effort. Now let's get down to the business of bailing you out again. It has to happen. There is no other choice here. This is not a morality play. This is real, honest-to-God banking turmoil and the prospect of a nation going insolvent and breaking from the euro and the eurozone. I don't think that the Germans, the French, or for that matter, the entire EU is ready for that.
Yeah, I mean, and let's face it. Also, the French, being socialist themselves, it wouldn't be good advertising for their economic system if another socialist nation officially went bankrupt.
There are no wild capitalists at work over there
anywhere.
In the EU.
All right. Well, maybe Merkel comes closest to this. All right, Eric. Here's the thing, though, and Lou talked about it earlier. We know that the people in Greece have had to endure some austerity or change their way of life. That comes with the territory. They are being asked by people they owe a lot of money to endure just a little bit more. What was interesting, late today, we saw a big groundswell of people who, in Greece, Greeks, who say, we'll take it. We'll do the deal. They came out of left field. They're probably having second thoughts about the buyer's remorse about that vote, which was nationalistic pride. Yeah, forget about Merkel. We're going to put our thumbs up. All of a sudden, you know what? You miss an insulin shot. You miss a meal. Maybe the deal's not too bad.
Yeah, and they're trying to find any way to get from under this rock. And what they're trying to do with the VAT is...
Well, not any way. They want to have their cake and eat it, too, because they've done it for a long time.
Right, and they want to pass along that burden to other people, like travelers like me, which we talked about my friends being over there when this meltdown actually happened. They want to pass along that burden to international travelers. If you're coming over here, you're going to have to pay a little bit more tax and to enjoy our beaches and our sun and our GNC, to enjoy those things and help us bail out of this problem. And that's what they're trying to do, pass it along.
A little bit more tax.
Well, it's a lot.
So, yeah,
it's a lot.
It's a lot of tax. But the other part of it is remember, this is a proposal for them. This isn't, okay, this is what we're going to take. This is what we would like. This is what we would like in a negotiation. This is what I would like. This is what I would like to give you. I'm very curious to see where the number is going to wind up. Now, this is a starting point for them.
This is a starting point.
But where's it going to wind up?
I don't see how you get a country with 26% unemployment, this amount of debt, to a 1% surplus this year. Maybe they have a different calendar year. Maybe fiscal year 2015 ends in 2017. But they're making this promise. I think they're going to have to do more than this, although I'm not sure how you get blood out of a rock, Lou.
Oh, well, that blood out of a rock is a problem. And the second part is, what business do you know of? Whether it's a mortgage, whether it's a car loan, where you ask the person making the purchase, well, you just tell me how you want to handle this.
That's right.
Make me a proposal. I'm sure it's just going to be fine.
Yeah.
And if it
I can do that.
We're going to have a little more money for you down the road.
Yeah.
And they've already driven the car off the lot, saying, hey, let me call you on cell phone and let you know how much I'm going to pay you. And that's what they're doing.
This is not business. This is an attempt. An attempt at socialist salvation for the Greeks. And by the way, it's desperately needed, even on just mere humanitarian grounds. Something's got to be done. When you talk about that insulin shot, it's the truth. We've got people hurting there. The European Union is responsible for them because they are a member nation. And the joke's over for the EU and for Greece. Remember, the EU bears immense responsibility for that $350 billion. They're the ones who gave them the money. Now they've got to take care of the problem they helped create.
Well, you know, a lot of people in that know, Joe, say that Germany has been in this amazing position. If you look at the creation of the EU, one economy has done extraordinarily well. The majority of them have gone sideways, and quite a few of them gone straight down. Well, guess what's that one that went straight up? Right. It's Germany. So to a certain degree, Greece has been a lost leader for it. You know, the weak economies of Greece, Italy, Spain, maybe keeps the euro a little bit cheaper. With a cheap euro, what does that benefit? Those Mercedes-Benz that you export around the world, those BMWs, those expensive
coffee machines.
The
leading mercantilist economy in the country, and that in the world, and that includes China. Germany does not want to screw up what is a very, very profitable.
But yet, Lou, they're in a situation. They're basically standing alone in this situation.